Caption coming from you live over at www.tradingaddicts.com. Also, tab blogger at www.ibankcoin.com. The market's in full-blown runaway mode, and I'm sure everybody realizes that the majority of stocks are likely to go up, so therefore the inherent value of a weekly watch list every week diminishes a little bit when stocks are running rampant. However, we've been kicking out some stocks that are making some unbelievable movements, and I've got a few more on my radar this week that I'm going to share. Before we get into that, I just want to comment on a couple of themes that we've been following. We've been talking about where the market's appetite for risk is right now. In the last several weeks, we've seen it going on in stocks with high short interest. The bulls are gunning for the bears anywhere they can find them. They're sniping them. They're taking them out back, and they're squeezing them. But right now, one of the themes that I'm looking for is what we call the dash for trash, looking for lower quality stocks, maybe stocks that really haven't participated in any part of this rally whatsoever, and looking for some of those to break out. And that would be some of the stocks we had talked about last week, like National Bank of Greece, ticker symbol NBG, or looking at stocks like Fannie Mae, ticker symbol FNMA, or looking at stock like Real Good Solar, RSOL. All these stocks we had taken positions in, well before they had moved. And just seeing towards the end of the week these types of stocks rallying as much as they are, I think that should be one of the themes that you look at coming into this week. Now, I've probably got 2 to 3 dozen names that I like that I'm going to be setting alerts on and some buy stops on for next week, so that if we start to see a little bit of strength, we can hop in and hopefully get in early enough before the rest of the momentum crowd does. So I'll attach a separate link to my watch list of individual stocks, low quality stuff that we're going to be watching and hopefully participating in trades in. But the other stuff that I like coming into this week, there's a handful more that I liked from last week. Take, for example, CZR. I don't think anything in this has changed. In fact, I told everybody in my trading room last week that their last opportunity to get into this was about 1550. And if it starts to probe back up towards 16, I think once it gets above 1625-ish, give or take, you're going to see this thing spike to new highs. Another one that's setting up pretty similar is BlackBerry, and I've still got a position in here that I'm slightly underwater in. We bought a little bit more time on this, so we've got out till June expiry to let this thing work. But as far as I'm concerned, sitting right at support, been consolidating, not participating with the rest of the market. Horrible stock, yada yada. I think it's the right kind of stock, right kind of market conditions going into next week. If we see any kind of strength, I think this thing makes a pretty decent sized move. Also, we got into some Facebook. I love the Facebook down here. We happened to get down a pretty good entry point in this thing on Friday. But if this thing comes out early, strong, which I think it will, you look at what this thing's been doing over the last 20 days. I like patterns like this where you can see that they're attempting to bottom. They're not going to new lows. In fact, there's subtle signs of buying going on in here. So once Facebook gets above this little shelf here at 26.5, I think it makes a pretty nice size move to the upside. My favorite trade here, and I'm gonna go out and say that I think that the pairs trade of the long Google short Baidu starts to come in a little bit. Meaning I'd rather be long Baidu, short Google here. Now Baidu has an unbelievable structure set up here. One that if you look back, and I posted a chart of this on the blog, but long term, beautiful continuation pattern of this long term upward trend, right? When you zoom in on that here recently, it's kind of rounding out a bottom and up near the upper end of this range. If you dial down over at least just the last week or so, we'll go to a 30-minute chart here, but you can see prices are coiled up, ready to strike. Now, in every situation where Baidu did not participate or move much on a Friday, it came out screaming on Monday. In fact, I remember having a weekly expiry back on Friday, trying to roll the dice for a breakout back through here. Nothing happened. Then it came out on Monday, and it went up every single minute of every single trading day in that particular week. And now it's been sitting up here consolidating, acting like it wants more. So you'd be lucky if you got one more pullback to 94. If that doesn't happen, you buy the breakout above 95, and this should be another ripper for the week. One that once it gets up above 100, I think it's going to start to resume its longer dated trend, which I'm pretty excited about. One of my favorite picks here. So there's Baidu. I love the energy space, and I'm looking at 2 stocks in particular, one that we talked about last week and one that we didn't. The one that we didn't is NOV. And if you look at a lot of these energy stocks on like 10-year charts, I mean, they're coiled up, right? Energy stocks haven't really done much over the last several years, but they're all at really interesting reference points. Some of these have already started to go, have already started to move. Stocks like NOV have not. So NOV is one that I like quite a bit. The one I discussed last week was BBG, Bill Barrett, which has also got a pretty interesting short position in that. Had a pretty decent run, but it really hasn't gotten above these highs yet. So if it does break out, I think you're likely to see a pretty big move up to the mid-20s. That's another name that I like. Also, another one of my top picks this week is Deckers. So again, great template of a stock. Has not been participating while the market's been rallying. Was weak up until Friday. Now we managed to catch the reversal. I blogged about this. Great entry point, good continuation pattern of stock that's not really on anybody's radar. Came in to test this old level of volume support down at around 52, and it turned up from that and was finished barely in the green. Now it might not come out racing tomorrow, which is actually a good thing, but I think if it spends a day or two around 52, the breakout would be significant, and I think you'll get it up to the high 50s within about a week or two. Love the idea of that. Yelp is another one that's been consolidating, would make for a pretty good breakout play. That's one that we've got on our radar this week. PCYC is another one here too. I like the structure that's forming here. Stock's kind of rounding its way higher. And this is a pretty good trending stock if you look back over time. It's another one that I like. I'm also a fan of Apple here. Again, a weak stock in a strong tape that's kind of come off everybody's radar. We bought the 424 level here. Pretty much nailed that, as a matter of fact, with the weekly option. We started talking about the lotto trades that we'll throw out once in a while, and we caught a pretty nice return on that. But I'm looking for any sort of weakness. I'm going to be looking to buy Apple, so I'm long only oriented in that name. Last two, and we'll call it good. Molycorp. If you look at this thing, it's been flagging, had a nice breakout of earnings, and it's come back in to retest this $6.50 level. If you break it down over the last little stretch, if it manages to hold the 650 area, starts to turn up a little bit, I think that little flag breakout makes for some pretty decent movement to the upside. And then last but not least, I've already got a position in this Rubicon, full disclaimer, but the structure overhead, if this stock can get up above some of these highs at 7.5, we'll move really quickly to about 8.5. And so with the use of options and a little bit of leverage, it can be a wildly profitable trade. Like I mentioned, I'll post some of the Dash for Trash candidates that I like this week. That's going to be a theme that does really well this upcoming week. Last week we did well in the refiners, the solar stocks. I still like the coals and the materials where I've got a couple of positions. You guys know that. But I think the stocks we've lined out today will offer up significant opportunity in the upcoming week, more so than the majority of stocks. So if you guys have questions on these, you know where to find me. www.tradingaddicts.com. Hit me with a comment on ibankcoin.com. Hope you guys continue to smoke the market this week. This has been the Option Addict. That's been my watch list. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome week.
The champ is here!